Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown of The Boys Season 4, Episode 7, The Insider. This episode was intense. Uncut gems intense by the end of it. A-Train's story is coming to an end. Butcher might have found a new superpower, and that Shaeshifter just banged Huey. For why? We'll get into it all this breakdown. But first, a quick reminder to check out nerdride.shop, where you can find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. Gear up for the biggest movie of the summer. I'm talking The Minions. No, I'm not. I'm talking Deadpool and Wolverine. We do not have merch for the Minions, and I'm sorry. If you want it, go scream at Eric Voss, EA Voss on Twitter. We do have Star Wars inspired merch that I love so much. Grabbing some of the merch from nerdride.shop is a great way to support the channel and all the work that we do here, breaking down all these things for you. You can also go get Break Room merch. I love the Break Room merch. It's so cute, it's so simple, so nice, so clean. All right, let's get into the breakdown. As I mentioned earlier, this episode is titled The Insider. This is the issue number 46 in the Boys comic book run, where Butcher ushers Huey to break up with Starlight and shows him footage of her being assaulted by the Men of the Seven. Huey breaks up with her in issue 47, which feels like we're on track for right now in the show. We know by the end of the episode a Shaeshifter will have taken the body of Annie and just banged Huey. What we haven't seen from the trailer is the group all hugging each other with Huey and Annie holding their passports. So it looks like Annie and Huey will leave eventually and our regular Annie is left behind. I could see Butcher finding Annie, and while all hell breaks loose, he enlists her to help him and let go of Huey. Huey's dealt with a lot this season, but that's just a theory for another. We opened the episode with Vought Kids Network. V-Kids is another one of Vought International's offshoots, a preschool TV channel for kids like PBS. And I like that they even have a giant 7 on the Vought Tower like the original building. The music is clearly a parody of the opening few notes to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood also opens with a little scaled down version of a neighborhood, just like we're seeing kind of here with New York City and Vought Tower. We also saw Avenue V in Gen V. It was the show hosted by Jason Ritter with the Puppet of the Deep, a parody of Sesame Street and Avenue Q. Sam hallucinated Ritter telling him to kill all the people. You can see a photo with a puppet version of Black Noir, and on the right is a photo of puppet version of Homelander and Firecracker. Also on the mantle are Christmas cards featuring Homelander and Black Noir. On the wall in the back, there are more puppet photos, and Firecracker is in a lot of them. Obviously, her star is on the rise in the 7 since she squirted that titty milk. This is all a Vought Kids Christmas special, and we begin with Ryan and A-Train, and I love that Ryan hated Adam Bork's pitch, but this one seems cool enough. We're gonna see a gaggle of puppets this episode. The Wrap did an interview back in 2023 with Colin Penman, who is the head of makeup for The Boys and Gen V. He's also the voice of Puppet Deep. In this interview, they talked about Gen V's puppet massacre and creating the puppets, hiring puppeteers to help design and build them, and I assume the same process happened here, and it was a lot easier since Gen V. Puppet A-Train is voiced by Alexandra Montanese, Puppet Firecracker is voiced by Kira Hall, and Puppet Homelander is voiced by Jamie Shannon. If you don't know, that's the man who created Mr. Meaty on Nickelodeon. He also voiced Mona and created the show Nanaland. Do you guys know Nanaland? Is that too young? Too old? I don't know. I love Nanaland. All the actors, though, are puppeteers. We see all the 7 members in most portraits except for Sister Sage. This could be because Homelander is currently really pissed at her for getting brain damage at Tech Knight's party last episode, or because she celebrates Kwanzaa, as we know from her past endeavors. A-Train says he's sad because of Antifa, which is a anti-fascist, anti-racist political movement here in the US. Lots of folks weaponizing it support Trump because he wants to declare it a terrorist organization. This song has a lot, if you can't tell, of problematic parts to it. Additionally, Ryan's mug says ho ho Homelander, and of course they have a ton of Vought merch for different holidays. We get a new song from the Vought Kids Christmas album, When You See Something, Say Something. This doesn't feel like a phrase for Christmas, but is a common phrase for the Black Noir posters, one that we see in Diabolical. In the song, they name the gay husband's principal Chad, and this has to be making fun of the, you know, the name Chad being an incel culture. There's just lots of dunking on conservative use of terms like woke and Antifa. Also the general idea of some manufactured war on Christmas. Ryan is rightfully uncomfortable promoting this and asks for the director. Adam Bork could have been gone after Ryan forced the assistant to beat him with a clipboard, or this is the Vought Kids director Tommy now, played by Tim Beresford. Ryan says this:
"We're telling kids to report on their own parents."
This was the cornerstone of the indoctrinating children in the fascist regimes. For example, like the Hitler Youth, the idea that you get the children to believe in the principles 100%, so much so that they would even turn in their own parents. The fact that Homelander personally approved these lyrics makes sense since he is all for Stormfront's Nazi ideals. Ryan says, I just need to go 10-1, and on a film set, 10-1 is walkie-talkie lingo for going to the bathroom, specifically if you need to pee. 10-2 means you gotta take a shit. No one ever really says 10-2 unless you're really close on set. I would say 10-1 when I also had to poop. As Sage walks in, it sounds like Ashley says this:
PR and made that apology to Temple Bethel, so that should be a deal.
There's a Hollywood Temple Bethel. This is one of the oldest Jewish temples in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna guess they had to make an apology because Firecracker was talking about Jewish space lasers on her show last episode. Ashley mentions that marketing would like to start selling NFTs of Homelander. Apparently, you're not buying JPEGs, you're joining a community. We know the whole thing with NFTs, but these NFTs are ugly. But I do like the Vought race car one. It's a red and white and blue logo with the Vought symbol and his eagle. It's kind of cool Talladega looking Knight's costume. You can tell Homelander's going insane. Like the cracked mirror of his personality is his reflection on the black table is smashed into cracks by the bug, and reflecting in the image above is himself on the 7 mural. Firecracker mentions Cameron Coleman golfing with Mike Lindell. He just pulled 50 million bucks of pillow commercials, I assume from Vought News. Mike Lindell's that right-wing My Pillow guy who is batshit crazy. He also buys a ton of ad time on Fox News. Sage refers to Firecracker as a Daisy Duck Dynasty, which is a play on Daisy Duke from Dukes of Hazzard and the show Duck Dynasty, and I also appreciate the Daisy Duck reference here as well. Homelander says this:
"You just focus on the shooter. Make sure he's good to go on the 6th.
So we have an assassination planned. We know that the final episode is titled Assassination Run. Kripke revealed this on Twitter a while ago, so this would be the episode when all the teams clash and we see the attempt or success of a political assassination on the boys, on Neuman, Singer, or even Homelander. The Deep is reading his book of poetry to Ambrosius. It's titled Still Waters Run Deep, Poetry by the Deep. How deep? How good? On the back cover, people say it's surprisingly sensitive, something about being America's wettest, published by Cairns and Grant, and you can find it on Vodify, which I assume is a parody of Spotify. Behind the Deep, you can see the portrait of him and Homelander from season 3. That's when the Deep gets a text from Sage, and they're not even flirting anymore. This is just, ugh. It looks like the Deep also still hasn't cleaned that dirty tank. You can still see the little suction prints. The Deep says this:
"And I got a notes call with Shy on his new draft of Honey Boy 2. It's really starting to sing."
So the movie is happening. The Deep mentioned this back in episode 3. Starlight's Skyping her mom, Donna, while Huey looks at Victoria Neuman's evidence, and you can tell he's copying it elsewhere. He has a sticker for Bryman on his laptop, and if you remember, this is where he worked at Bryman Audiovisual when he was dating Robin. Starlight's mom's Bible group kicked her out, and I assume this is due to the mass publicity around her abortion, which is no one's business. Huey is wearing an Iggy and Stooges shirt. They were a late 60s, early 70s punk band formed by Iggy Pop. This is where we learn that Annie trashed her OG Starlight suit after officially resigning from the Seven. However, Huey saved it, and I guess for a rainy day, because why would you want that? Then we cut to Sage, who's doing this shady deal in broad daylight while wearing her Seven costume, which is insane to do. This is the guy that Homelander mentioned earlier to make sure that he's good for the 6th, the shooter, so if Sage fucks this up, she'll be in some deep crap. The shady man is credited as Eddie K from American Pie, Harold and Kumar, and those Wild 2000s movie, which I just can't see in him. I still can't see it. I like that Huey refers to him as the Lee Harvey, the man who assassinated also John F. Kennedy. Mother's Milk is wearing a black sheep shirt, and it's kind of ironic after, you know, the last episode with the killer sheep. Either way, Butcher graces us with his presence after discovering Kessler isn't real, just his imagination. Better yet, the little devil on his shoulder, while Becca is kind of like the angel. Oh, bring Becca back. He tells the gang how he kidnapped, amputated, and forced Samir to recreate the virus, though, as we know, he can't make it to take down Homelander without killing all the people that have V in their bodies. I would say all soups would get contaminated, but not all people with V are soups. They're just average people doing weird shit. That's when he reveals he pulled Frenchie out of prison to help Samir make it. Mallory pulled the strings to get him out, so the boys' plan is to take out Homelander and Neuman, and Sage plans to take out the president. Back at Homelander's penthouse, all decked out for Christmas, Ryan has a lot of Christmas presents, including a regular bike and what looks like a dirt bike, 2 bikes, and a gaming chair. This boy has my dream holiday gifts. There's Homelander wrapping paper. One of the gifts has wrapping paper for cartoon Queen Maeve and a Santa hat, and of course the 7 again has branded wrapping paper. Ryan has a gift and it says, "Don't be a," which was the screen name for Butcher to use to communicate with Ryan a few episodes ago in the video game. Butcher's gift is sticking out in the pile of fancy wrap presents because it's just plain brown paper and it looks bad. Ryan opens the gift, which is just a picture of Butcher, Terror, and Becca that we've seen throughout the season. Mother's Milk announces his leave from the boys because he's passing out during missions. Our man's unwell. Mother's Milk makes it his new mission to send Monique and Janine to Belize while war is about to strike down here in America between Soups and everyone else. Then they kiss. What he finally wanted, to be a family again, and he just can't have it. I want the most for my man, but I also want what's good for the world. In the comics, Mother's Milk's relationship with his ex-wife and the mother of his daughter is very up. It involves her being a drug addict and a very bad mom, so I'm really glad they made these two much more functional and healthy in the show. We switch to the remembering of Cameron Coleman. The news crawl at the bottom says Jenny McCarthy, another vax victim gone, implying that Cameron Coleman died from vaccines. Jenny McCarthy, for those who don't know, is the actress, the woman who has organized an anti-vaccine movement that links vaccines to autism. She constantly makes claims that she is able to heal her son's autism, which is just bullshit. Her activism is bullshit. Everything she spews is bullshit. I can't say it without being mean. They claim Coleman died of a brain aneurysm from the flu vaccine. Also, Ashley is drinking a Macallan 15-year-old scotch. A-Train asks what happened to Ashley's assistant, to which she says,
Dumb could never get my Sweet Green order right.
Sweet Greens is one of the restaurants of choice for writers' rooms to get lunch from, so I bet the boys was just like munching down on Sweet Greens when they wrote this. Ashley feels horrible about what happened to Cameron, and yeah, she's a dumb, mean idiot half the time, but she literally panicked when Homelander destroyed Blind Spot's ears. She brought him to the 7, and she kind of got him wrecked and felt horrible about it, so she's still as much of a human as she was when she got into VOD. She also says this,
It's so easy to become a monster around here.
and 100% right. It absolutely is. Ashley offers A-Train the chance to flee to Florence, and I like that she's like, you need a passport. Wait, no you don't. You'll just run everywhere. Because it's true. I don't know if he even has a passport. Butcher, Huey, and Starlight wind up at this random address. During his little almost barf moment, Kessler reminds us Butcher and Maeve hooked up last season. We also learned for the first time Butcher cheated on Becca, and his internal dialogue is really just beating his ass. When we enter the apartment, this place is a freaking mess. There's pizza boxes, half-eaten food, it's a pigsty. Then Starlight tells the gang she found a used tampon in the toilet, and tampons never go in the toilet. That's how you get it clogged. Every girl knows that, unless, of course, this fucking shapeshifter isn't used to being a girl. I don't know. There's a lot of theories you can have about the shapeshifter. We see paperwork from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Secret Service. It includes information regarding the security detail, agents, and who they are watching. They mention having detail assignments for January 6th, which is Singer's rally, and I also assume this is also a play on what happened here on January 6th in the US, you know, the Capitol attack in 2021. This shapeshifter has the build of people, what colors they are wearing, and what their wardrobe is, and even what car they drive. The folder Starlight grabs has VOT lab results with a map of the DC Fairground where Singer is going to be speaking. A closer look at the map shows where the security would be hidden in bushes, along with the agents overseeing it. It's literally all the Secret Service information. They have the extraction point, which might be a warning in case it goes belly up, where they have to take the soon-to-be president. Butcher then says this,
That's where they're giving him the old Dealey Plaza.
which is another reference to the John F. Kennedy assassination. They hear something and stalk down the long hallway to find a woman in a closet hiding. She has scratches and marks on her body, and we later find out this is the shapeshifter. And I wonder if she fought the woman who lived there originally, and when looking at her, she took on her injuries as well, because we don't know what makes this shapeshifter shift. We see her grab this elderly woman, look her in the eyes, and it sort of makes a copy of their entire self, her side ponytail and all. I don't know if we can show this on YouTube, so I'm gonna try to explain it as best as I can. Grotesquely, this thing must shed its own skin of a new layer of whoever it copied, then in a gross lizard-like blink, it wishes away like Men in Black. This is a new power we haven't seen, and it's absolutely disgusting, but it's a really cool take on shapeshifting. Doppelganger certainly didn't work like this, but the boys have shown supes with similar powers that manifest them in different ways, like Victoria Neuman and Marie. There are plenty of shapeshifters in the comics, like Mal Chemical, who can shapeshift his form to be any person or element or material. Mallory also mentioned him back in season 2, episode 6. However, the green eyes really throw me off. But what I like to remember is that Mal Chemical was a member of the Team Titanic, like the Teen Titans, who did have Beast Boy, who was famously green, so it could be him. Kingdom also in Diabolical had green eyes when he shapeshifted into a snake. However, he could only turn into like an animal, unfortunately, in body and in mind. So he was kind of just a dumb, loose snake. So I don't think this is him. This could also be a new soup entirely. In Gina's rewatching of season 1 of Supernatural, Kripke is constantly tying stuff from the boys into Supernatural, like Jim Beaver's name on the show is also Robert Singer. In season 1, there's a shapeshifter who does the exact peely-offy skin thing. He pretends to be Dean, commits a crime, and the cops go after Dean for it. So Kripke is sort of repeating a storyline here by having the shapeshifter pretend to be one of the boys. Regardless, what's important to think about is who in this episode could have been the shapeshifter. Sage has mentioned keeping tabs on Janine and knowing everything about everyone. Could it simply not be through security and analytics that she gets her information, but entirely through this shapeshifting mole? There's a chance Monique or Donna was actually this shapeshifter at some point. So this shapeshifter must be close to Sage, or else we would have seen them by now, right? I think so. When she berates the man before giving him the files, she says, "It smells like you've been drinking. I wish you'd do your fucking job." The look on her face in disappointment might make this be someone close to her. I love a good game night game, especially if it's easy to introduce to new friends too, and that's why I love Doomlings. Doomlings is a card game that takes 5 minutes to learn. You're trying to score the most points before the end of the world by playing cards from your hand called traits, and every card has these fun little monster type guys on it. Look at it! Look at how cute these are! Look at them! And it's so shiny. I love him. This one's my favorite. Oh my god, that's so cute. I'm gonna play the out of this game. Every round is called an age, and occasionally an age will introduce a catastrophe, and the game ends when the third catastrophe strikes. There, now you know how to play Doomlings. Literally, it's that simple to explain, and the rules are on the cards themselves, so if you forget, Doomlings has you covered. And now Doomlings is expanding with the all-new Imaginary Ends expansion. The expansion literally just came out, and it adds 127 new cards and 5 new varieties of Doomlings. Each new Doomling adds another layer of strategy to the base game, whether it's the suppressing power of the Deeplings or the luck mechanics of the Glitterlings. Plus, the art looks so good. Again, look at these. You can get the Doomlings in retail stores like Walmart or Target, but if you scan the QR code or click the link in the description and use code Rockstars20, you'll get 20% off your order at doomlings.com. Look at this. It's so cute. I'm so obsessed with it. Of the teenage kicks, both in the comics and the series, there wasn't really a shapeshifter. What we know from Sage is that her grandmother was an ex-Black Panther, and she was seemingly close to her. She's from Chicago, she was kicked from the teenage kicks, and that's really it. This could be her brother, and I only theorize her brother because every parent injected their children with Compound V. It wouldn't be surprising her brother also had it done to him, and he's unfortunately just led to this life of sadness shapeshifting. Then Butcher, Starlight, and Huey run out to a sea of people, not a single one in zebra print. Also, none of them looked around the corner. That would have been the first thing I did. And I love this shot though, overall, to add drama to the, it can be anyone. But we do get another taxi ad for Vought, at least we spot that. Mother's Milk boarding passes from Transoceanic Airlines, the same airline that Homelander and Maeve let crash. A-Train tells Mother's Milk about the little boy who saw him bring Mother's Milk to the hospital, and it makes him feel like a better person, which is all because of Mother's Milk. No one else could have done it. Then we're taken to Kimiko and Frenchie, and Kimiko is reading a spring 2007 Vigor magazine with Soulja Boy on the cover. There appears to be a real Canadian fashion magazine called Vigor with the Canadian spelling, you know, with the O-U. The cover do look similar in style, and I wonder if the show is just nodding to that since it's filmed majorly in Canada. Also, it's odd that Soulja Boy is randomly on the 2007 magazine cover since he's been missing from the public since the mid-80s and won't reappear until 2022, but maybe Vought still uses iconography a lot, which also explains the semi-plot hole in Gen V of Kate having a crush on Soulja Boy in her preteen years. I love that they have Samir in a freaking Macy's Christmas shirt, a reminder that it's Christmas time, and Frenchie bought Vought a burger, and the bags are also holiday themed. Frenchie plays Butterfly by Crazy Town, calling it truly revolting garbage from the 1990s, and I know damn well they weren't expecting Shifty Shellshock to pass away just so recently. Then Frenchie sort of lies when asked if the virus is just for Homelander and not Victoria, and I'm sure Samir knows the truth. Then we're with Firecracker and Homelander ignores Ryan and tells him to go along with the show. Then the doors open to Webweaver, and this is the same prison Maeve was locked up in. This definitely looks like one of the rooms that the 4 kids from Gen V were locked up in at the end of their season 2, which further reinforces the idea that our 4 Godolkin kids are currently being held within Vought Tower. Inside, Webweaver is shitting out all of his web because he's nervous and or going through withdrawals. He also somehow got his suit back from Huey if he didn't already have 2, and I really assume he didn't have 2 because that one suit was funky. It looks like this one smells too. I can't show you what I see, but Homelander straight up tears this man apart from shoulder down, mixing his milky butt juice with blood. In Gen V, Sam ripped a person puppet the same way. It's a repulsive sight and I hate the imagery. This web fluid mixing with blood and seeing it towards Homelander is definitely a nod to the reoccurring thing in the comics. When Huey first comes to America and teams up with the boys, he's staying in a really shitty part of town, and Butcher tells him something along the lines of, yeah, you'll understand why this place is a dump the first night you see semen and blood come seeping under your door. And after that, it just kept happening every time Huey was home. Butcher was hiring someone to do it, which is disgusting. Firecracker is shook because she probably never saw someone get so brutally murdered up close like this. And please, I'm not a pervert, but her boobs definitely are getting bigger. And I know it's because she's taking that medicine too much. All that to please Homelander. Back with Frenchie and Kimiko, Frenchie says, for Noel, I think. Noel is the French word for Christmas. Merry Christmas in French is Joyeux Noël. I assume Kimiko still doesn't have her phone after losing it at Tech Nights, but it's not needed because Frenchie speaks sign language, so she doesn't have to use images or books to speak to everyone again. We look into Kimiko's past and her night at the Shining Light. Frenchie said that she can't talk because she watched Shining Light kill her parents. This was the story that Frenchie heard from Kimiko's brother, Kenji. We learned the truth that Kimiko was forced to kill another girl without making a sound for fear of being killed by her captors. This whole thing kind of just reminds me of Black Widow's backstory, those girls fighting other girls, sleeping while handcuffed and all that, but also it's so sad for Kimiko. And I actually really like her arc in the series, but I do need to see more of Shining Light. And I know it's a horrible organization, but like I want to see her kill more of them or just bring them to the forefront for the next season. Kimiko mentions looking into the mirror and hating what she sees, which makes me believe every time Homelander, Firecracker, or any soup is looking in a mirror, they also hate themselves. There's just a great foreshadowing when looking into mirrors and having to look back at your own reflection and seeing who you are, and these soups do it constantly. The Deep is eating his favorite snack from Guy Fieri's Flavor Town, the fried pickles he mentioned in episode 4, which means he's definitely coming back from debraining and banging Sage. Brandon wrote that. Ambrosius asked Deep, aka Bay, to get her some sugarfish, a popular sushi spot with multiple locations in New York City and LA, and it's actually kind of pricey. Ambrosius quotes Lisa Vanderpump from Vanderpump Rules Reunion on Bravo in 2022 when she says this:
"Sometimes the way you get them is the way you lose them."
We get this great "where have you been, you're cheating on me" trope between the Deep and this octopus, and I love it. Ambrosius also mentions this:
"My suckers can smell her on you after your trysts."
Octopi can in fact smell and taste with their suckers. I love that she's like, "I can smell her on you," and there's a pair of deep sea undies just sitting right above her tank like, "Yeah girl, I bet you can." The Deep chooses Sage because she says that he's a superior being, and to make it more painful on the octopus, she has 4 limbs. And as a reminder, Deep had no issues banging that dolphin back in the day, and they have absolutely no limbs. Then the Deep flips out and breaks her tank, releasing all that water, and we hear her gasping, and the other fish are just watching on, but he ignores it behind closed doors. The Deep had mentioned to New Black Noir in the last episode that he enjoys his recent violent turn.
They're not laughing anymore. They show respect. Violence is power.
The Deep probably loves and respects Ambrosius more than most people, so his violence probably makes him feel very powerful. However, he is overwhelmed by the emotions that result from this act, and respectfully, Tilda Swinton does go on for a minute, her last word being, "I love you," and then we cut to Deep shutting out the world around him, much like Homelander did this season. We see the broken piece of the table where Homelander smashed the bug that's now gone. His reflection of himself in the mural of the 7 above is still the metaphor for how he and everyone in the 7 are hitting a breaking point and finally cracking under endless pressure. Back with Victoria Neuman, she's packing up her home, ready to move on, and Huey visits, bringing all these New York snacks that she loves before she leaves for DC. She's eating Madritos. These are like plantain chips. Huey compares it to Mitt Romney, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Mitt Romney is now considered one of the more moderate Republicans, one of the old guard who it was possible to work together with. He stood against Trump and the Tea Party and the new insane right-wing nut jobs like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's still not great in my opinion, but he's considered a dying breed of Republicans who have no loyalty to the cult that is Trump.
Come on, boys, take them down.
This is when Victoria Neuman learns about the internment camps from Tech Knight's party, though I don't know if I believe she didn't know about this already. She has a really good poker face right now. Samir calls her Vicky and Huey calls her Vic, and that's how you know she's a true friend to him. Then she says sorry for Huey's dad dying, and how the does she know about that? Is she the shapeshifter? Then back with Starlight at the boys' HQ, the Deep appears and so does Black Noir. The Deep seems to take back the apology he gave to Starlight both publicly and privately to feel okay killing her, I guess. The Deep mentions how she tried canceling him, which was for the assault he did to Starlight in season 1. He follows it by saying,
"Because I guess that's just cool to do to white guys nowadays."
Which of course he'd say that. He follows that by saying, "Me Too's over, it didn't work," then gives a good classic
wah wah wah.
They all start tussling, Butcher versus Black Noir, Starlight versus the Deep. The Deep and Annie being soups are really just destroying this place, being flung all over through the fridge and the doors and the walls. It's destroying it like they did last season at Vought. Butcher is truly holding it down using a gun and being half dead, which honestly, respect. The impact of the shotgun blast into Black Noir can push him back, but he's able to bounce them off his cuffs like Wonder Woman. Insane. Then Black Noir passes out, and as a reminder, this one is narcoleptic. Quickly though, Butcher takes notice before he comes to. Butcher starts talking to himself to do that thing he did to Ezekiel, but it isn't really working. He even requests Kessler to do something. And this all furthers my theory. It only works when he's actually in danger, like his body feels itself dying down. He's just getting beat up here, so he's not really going to die. Luckily, my hero, A-Train, shows up to save the day, knocking the Deep on his ass. This is when Noir and the Deep find out that A-Train is indeed the leak. Then Black Noir flies, and as he mentioned in the previous episode when he threatened to go join Cirque de Vought. He also has a great line before getting a body full of lead from Mother's Milk.
"Eat a flying motherfucker."
And then he falls out the window. When Annie and the Deep are fighting, I also think Annie is digging into the Deep's gills here with this move, and as we saw back in season 1, his gills are super sensitive. I think we actually get a gross scene of Ambrosius tickling them. Then Annie starts beating the hell out of the Deep. When he's finally dazed, you see a magazine that has a soldier salute and it says hero, because Annie is my hero. When the Deep is knocked out with that weight on his head, we see papers for Vought's American Hero. We've talked about that before this season. It's the reality show that was finding a new soup for the 7. Ashley Ashley calls out for the Alexa, and as a reminder that this is an Amazon show, so of course they're gonna use an Alexa. I also like that they credited Nina Roll, who is the voice of the actual Alexa in the credits. Also, they're really shitting on chill white dude singer-songwriters of the 90s in this episode, playing the Dave Matthews chill mix. Once they know A-Train is the leak, he makes his escape, and Ashley reminds him to take out his chip. We saw in previous seasons that the 7 all have chips implanted in them so he can be tracked. We see a picture of a young, rebellious Ashley and Florence, complete with cornrows, unshaved armpits, and Che Guevara shirt. The only way I imagine Ashley treating every vacation like Jersey Shore, getting cornrows and Florence. God, that's a horrible image. So they're all at a bar now drinking, Annie, Mother's Milk, and Butcher. Mother's Milk leaves and Annie asks him about Kessler and Ezekiel, to which he says don't worry about it. Mother's Milk calls Monique and tells her he ain't coming home for Christmas, but one day they'll see each other soon. My man does not get a win. His entire family died to this cause, and now my man doesn't get to be with his family. Back with Psychopath McGee over here, he's almost shedding a tear over A-Train betraying him. This is probably his sincere personality coming out. It looks like he's cut out his tracking chip and his family is also gone. Then Sage reveals she knew all along A-Train was the leak, but didn't tell Homelander. Then Homelander, irritated, tells Sage she's fired, and when she retorts, "You promised," he says, "You're lucky I didn't send you home in a bucket," which is also how Kessler threatened Samir last episode. Gina believes this is all part of Sage's plan, and I hope to God she's right. Then on her way out, she leaves behind her Queen Maeve notebook that she's been keeping every detail in, and I can't wait to learn what's in that notebook and how she's saving Cindy for last. I'm sure they're not gonna give us Cindy. I wish they would give us Cindy. Maybe Soldier Boy? Maybe that's the icing on the cake here? I don't know, but I feel like there is a secret person that we haven't met yet that's not the shapeshifter that is gonna be revealed. She does tell Homelander before exiting this:
There's one person you will never, ever defeat.
Physically, Homelander can tear anyone apart or laser them down, but he stopped in his tracks with Barb. The hold and power people like Barb and Stan Edgar had on Homelander was done through mental manipulation, but that didn't save Stillwell at the end of the day. I'd argue it's Victoria Neuman, but he's holding on to her secret soup identity, so she's more afraid of him. I genuinely think it's Ryan, who everyone knows and notes as a mini Homelander and might be the only soup able to take him down. He has this weird affection and dire and need to be his father figure. Ryan has him in a chokehold mentally and physically. This could be the person that he could not defeat. Unless, of course, Sage is talking in riddles and means Homelander, like Homelander himself is his own biggest enemy and he can't defeat it. But this isn't The Lion King. I'm not Rafiki. I think it's Ryan, and Ryan is the endgame. The Deep and Noir limp back through Vought like a couple of dumb idiots. Then Sage announces how she was fired, and we learn that she's also been Black Noir, though she ain't lobotomizing herself to be with Black Noir, which is hilarious. Back with Kimiko and Frenchie, Samir shoots Kimiko with the virus, then hops off. The dude who got his own leg cut off being responsible for someone else getting theirs cut off is just some sweet poetic justice. Also, you gotta admire how quickly Frenchie springs into action here. I hate him and I love him at the same time. As I mentioned in one of my last breakdowns, Frenchie uses his belt like a tourniquet to stop the virus from spreading, but it's moving very quickly. Another bad 90s song plays during all of this, and it's Steal My Sunshine by Len. I hate this song. I don't think YouTube's gonna let me show you this at all, but Kimiko focuses on this cute bee as her leg is being chopped off. The bee says, "You're the bee's knees," and she's getting her leg cut off right above the knee. We saw her regrow her hand earlier this season. Frenchie also has the presence of mind to know to save the leg, which has the only existing virus in it. Back with Vought Kids' Christmas episode, Ryan listens to his voicemail from Homelander, who is blatantly just ignoring him. When we zoom out, we can see a lot more of the little New York City and a billboard with Jesus in big letters. We see the same deep puppet we saw from Gen V is also there. And then they start singing the song again, and there's clearly a lot of conspiracy, alt-right talking points in this song. We cut to Ashley in the Vought Studios television room where they're switching cameras, so this must be live. Then we cut to Butcher and Kessler getting drunk at a bar on Christmas. Then Ryan stops the scene and Ashley whispers to cut to commercial, and a reminder that all soups have better hearing, but especially Ryan, who can hear that loud ass whisper Ashley's trying to hide. Ryan pleads to those watching not to hate their family, and this show is bad. He mentions his mom loving Terms of Endearment, a movie from 1983. Then Ryan leaves off camera and Butcher is just so proud. Now it's important to note that once he threw it in Kessler's face, he started breaking down, like his body started shutting down. So he's indeed in charge of when he lives and dies. Huey's at home with a bandaged hand. He tells Annie how he went to see Victoria to talk her out of it. Then we see Annie in her Starlight clothes seducing Huey, and that's when it's revealed Annie is the shapeshifter. And is this X-Men 97 all over again? The shapeshifter also just bangs Huey, which is unnecessary. Why would it need to do that? So the shapeshifter has Annie's memories since she specifically mentioned their earlier conversation before they switched, plus the fact that she knows the code to the safe. Doppelganger could only look like people, but he said it was like flexing a muscle and he couldn't do it for very long. He also never had the people's memories. Dupe Annie takes Huey's computer and what I think is the drive that has Neuman's information all on it, and we close the episode with the real Annie chained in a basement, loose skin all over the place. She's also looking at a shirt that says "Snow's out, hose out." Hell yeah, girl. And the skin of a naked woman with gray hair, the woman who asked for a goddamn photo. So it's right after this moment that Annie's taken away. Not a single person saw her drugged and taken away. No one heard it. Also, why did she have to bang Huey? The sex part really gets me because there is no need for it. It's the boy, so I get it, but I'm also like, you seduced him. Was this part of the plan? And that's it for my breakdown of episode 7, season 4 of The Boys. There's only one episode left and I have no idea where this is going. I'm skeptical of everyone and nervous who's gonna die, and will Sage come back? Check out next week where all is revealed. Comment down below your thoughts on this episode, what you think her banging Huey had to do with all of this. Follow me at Lulu_Clemons, subscribe to all 3 channels in the new Rockstars network. Make sure to go check out the Break Room after show on the Break Room. It's so nice. Gina's right. Gina's always right. Go look at it. Go subscribe to us for all the news coverage of everything you love. Oh God, I'll see you guys next week.